Okay, so have you ever had that feeling where, like, you're working on something, it could be anything, like a design project, a piece of writing, or even just trying to figure out a tricky problem?
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there. It's that frustrating feeling of being stuck like you're hitting a wall and you're thinking.
Exactly, yeah. You
Yeah,
just feel kind of locked into one way of seeing things. And no matter how much you try to force it, the solution just, it stays out of reach.
it's like your mind is running in circles, but it can't quite break free and find a fresh perspective.
Especially common, I'd say, for creative folks.
For sure, for sure. But imagine, like, what if there was a way to actually change how you see those situations? Not just waiting for a lucky break, but kind of intentionally shifting your perspective, your creative lens.
That's a powerful idea. To be able to step outside of that limited viewpoint and see things from a completely different angle. Right. And that's exactly what we're diving into today, this whole concept of mutable perspectives. It's about recognizing that how you see things, even your own potential, isn't fixed. It can be fluid and adaptable.
Mutable perspectives.
Yeah.
I like that. It suggests a kind of dynamism, an ability to flow and move with the challenge instead of getting rigidly fixed on a single solution.
Precisely. And what's really cool is that we're going to ground this exploration in the world of art and creation, specifically with this platform called AI Charm Lab.
AI Charm Lab, I've heard a bit about that. Seems to be making waves in the art tech scene.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
There was this really interesting article on TheTechMargin recently about it, and they highlighted how it's designed to help artists, cultivate this very fluidity of perspective.
So this AI Charm Lab is presented as a kind of tool to help artists break free from those rigid perspectives we were just talking about.
Yes. And our mission today is to, really unpack what mutable perspectives are all about, what they mean, why they matter, and how something like AI Charm Lab can actually help us, develop this more dynamic way of thinking. And not just for artists. This has implications for, anyone who wants to unlock new creative potential, solve problems differently.
Sounds like a fascinating deep dive. I'm all ears.
Let's start with the basics. What exactly does it mean for perspective to be mutable, to be fluid?
Well, at its core, it really is all about fluidity. It's that ability to shift your viewpoint, right? To not get stuck seeing things from just one angle, like we were talking about. It's almost like instead of a fixed lens, you have a zoom lens that you can adjust to focus on different aspects of the problem or the situation.
So it's not about being indecisive or always changing your mind, but rather having the capacity to explore different interpretations and approaches.
Precisely. It's about having that mental flexibility, that agility to move between various viewpoints and not feeling trapped by a single rigid interpretation.
Okay, so it's like, instead of a hammer always looking for a nail, you have a whole toolbox at your disposal, right? And each tool, each perspective offers a unique way of interacting with the problem.
Exactly. And this inherent flexibility, it actually helps you develop a much more adaptable mindset overall. You're more open to new information, better equipped to handle unexpected challenges, and in the context of artistic creation, more likely to venture into those uncharted territories and find those, fresh creative breakthroughs.
So for artists in particular, this ability to shift perspective is crucial for breaking out of creative ruts and pushing the boundaries of their work.
Absolutely. If you can readily change how you perceive things, you're less likely to fall into those repetitive patterns, those creative dead ends. You're constantly opening yourself up to new possibilities and new ways of expressing yourself.
Okay, so we've established the essence of mutable perspectives. That ability to be fluid, to shift and adapt how we see things. Now let's zoom in on AI Charm Lab, which Sonia and Christopher developed. How does this platform actually help artists cultivate and harness this fluidity in their work?
Well, one of the really interesting aspects, and this was highlighted in that TheTechMargin piece, is that AI Charm Lab acts as a kind of artistic chronicle or creative journal for artists.
So like a digital archive of their creative journey.
Yeah, exactly. It's a searchable archive where they can revisit and interact with, all the different iterations of their past work, all those sketches, those abandoned ideas, those different versions and stages of a project. It's all there, easily accessible.
It's like having a visual timeline of their creative process, from the initial spark of an idea to the final polished piece.
Exactly. And TheTechMargin made a really cool analogy, comparing it to a cross-section of a tree. You know how you can see the growth rings and trace the history of the tree? It's similar with AI Charm Lab. You can see those rings of your creative development over time.
I love that visual. You could literally see the evolution of your ideas.
Yeah.
But it's not just a static record, right?
Right. The key is that this archive, It's not just a passive collection of past work. It's designed to become its own neural network of ideas, as Sonia described it in the tech margin. So those past experiments, those early concepts, they're constantly available to inform and inspire your present creative thinking.
It's like all those past versions of yourself as an artist are still there, ready to collaborate with you in the present.
Exactly. Their insights, their explorations, their struggles, they're all part of this dynamic network that you can tap into.
So AI Charm Lab is like this really rich, evolving tapestry of your own creativity, always available to spark new ideas.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Now let's talk about focus. One of the things that struck me about AI Charm Lab is this idea of expanding and contracting your creative lens. How does that actually work within the platform?
Well, on the one hand, AI Charm Lab helps you expand your eye, as they put it, through controlled randomness or structured inspiration. Essentially, the AI can suggest new directions that you might not have considered on your own.
So it's like the AI is acting as a sort of creative provocateur, pushing you outside your comfort zone.
Precisely. It might, for example, suggest blending elements from different past projects in unexpected ways, or prompting you with concepts or techniques that are outside your typical style.
So it's intentionally introducing a bit of randomness or chaos into the creative process.
Yes, but a controlled chaos. It's not just throwing random things at you, it's drawing from your own creative history, your own aesthetic sensibilities, and suggesting novel combinations or variations based on that.
So it's like a personalized brainstorming partner that knows your work intimately and can suggest fresh paths to explore.
Exactly. And then, crucially, the archive also allows you to contract your focus. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by all the possibilities, or if you want to revisit a specific detail from an earlier piece, you can easily zoom in and re-engage with those past ideas in a very focused way.
So you have both the capacity to broaden your creative horizons and the ability to hone in on very specific details or techniques from your past.
Right. It's almost like having a zoom lens for your own creative history. You can pan out to get the big picture or zoom in to examine the fine details.
That's a really powerful combination. It's like giving artists the tools to consciously navigate their own creative evolution. Now, there's this really intriguing phrase that Sonia and Christopher used to describe AI's role in the creative process: the mirror and the muse. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that's one of the most fascinating aspects of AI Charm Lab, in my opinion. The Muse part comes from the fact that when you feed the platform your own work, it can actually generate outputs that are completely novel, things you likely wouldn't have come up with on your own.
So the AI is acting as a source of inspiration, almost like a creative collaborator, but one that's rooted in your own unique style and history.
Exactly. It takes your existing creative DNA and kind of synthesizes it in new and unexpected ways. It can be really surprising to see what it comes up with.
And what about the mirror aspect? How does that play into it?
So the mirror effect happens when you encounter one of those AI-generated outputs and it just clicks, you know? Even though it's something you wouldn't have consciously created, it resonates with you on a deep level. It feels somehow familiar, like a natural extension of your own artistic voice.
It's like the AI is reflecting back to you hidden potentials within your own creative style, things you might not even have been fully aware of.
Precisely. It can be a very powerful experience, almost like seeing a hidden aspect of yourself.
Now, we've talked a lot about the potential of AI Charm Lab to push creative boundaries and explore new ideas, but the creative process can also be incredibly vulnerable. What about that fear of judgment or failure that often holds artists back? How does AI Charm Lab address that?
Well, one of the key things they emphasized, and this really resonated with me, is the idea of creating a safe space for experimentation. AI Charm Lab is designed to be an environment where artists can try out even the most radical ideas without that pressure of immediate success or external criticism.
So it removes some of the stakes involved in experimenting and allows for more freedom to play and explore.
Exactly. It's like having a private studio where you can try anything without worrying about judgment. And that, in turn, can help you break through those self-imposed limitations, those inner voices that tell you what you can and can't do.
Because if you're constantly worried about what others will think, it's much harder to truly let loose and follow your creative instincts.
Absolutely. And what Sonia highlighted in the TechMargin piece is that this safe space, it can actually help artists identify and challenge those limiting beliefs. Because when you're free to experiment without fear, you might surprise yourself with what you're capable of.
You start to see that those perceived boundaries were often just in your own mind.
Right. And then the more you experiment, the more you push those boundaries, the more you realize what you're truly capable of.
So AI Charm Lab is not just about generating new ideas. It's about fostering a more fearless and experimental approach to creativity overall.
I think that's a really important point. It's about creating a supportive environment where artists can tap into their full potential.
Now, the tech margin also touched on this intriguing idea of building a neural network of personal creativity. What exactly does that mean in the context of using AI Charm Lab?
Well, it goes back to the idea that you're constantly feeding the AI model with your own creative data. So over time, it essentially becomes this personalized AI that learns and evolves along with you. It's like having a dedicated AI muse that understands your unique style, your influences, your creative journey.
So it's not just a generic AI, it's an AI that's been specifically trained on your work and therefore can offer much more tailored insights and inspiration.
Precisely. And the more you use it, the more data you feed it, the more sophisticated and personalized it becomes.
It's like a creative partnership that deepens over time.
Exactly. And what's really cool, according to the tech margin, is that this evolving archive can actually surface things you might have forgotten. Maybe there's an idea you sketched years ago that suddenly feels relevant to your current work.
Yeah.
Or perhaps the AI suggests a combination of elements from different periods of your development that sparks a whole new direction.
So it's not just about generating new ideas, it's also about helping you rediscover and recontextualize your past work in fresh and surprising ways.
Right. It's like having access to your entire creative history, but in a way that's dynamic and interactive, constantly revealing new connections and possibilities.
Now, while AI Charm Lab seems like an incredibly powerful tool for artists, this whole idea of mutable perspectives feels like it could be valuable for anyone facing creative challenges, regardless of their field or whether they use a specific platform.
Oh, absolutely. I think the benefits of cultivating this ability to shift perspectives extend far beyond just art. For example, one of the key advantages is that it can help you recognize hidden patterns and connections in your work, or even in life in general.
So it's about seeing things from different angles, making those unexpected connections that can lead to those aha moments and new breakthroughs.
Exactly. And it also encourages you to think more creatively and generate ideas that are both novel and yet still rooted in your existing knowledge or experience.
That blend of innovation and familiarity sounds incredibly valuable no matter what field you're in.
For sure. And I think one of the most important benefits is that it helps you challenge those limiting beliefs that we often hold ourselves back with. Those either scenarios where we think we have to choose between creativity and practicality or between passion and financial success.
So it's about breaking free from those false dichotomies and exploring more nuanced possibilities.
Exactly. And ultimately, being able to hold multiple perspectives at the same time, it just gives you a much richer, more comprehensive understanding of things. It allows you to embrace complexity and see the world in all its shades of gray.
It's about moving beyond simplistic black and white thinking and appreciating the richness of different viewpoints. Now, to bring it all back to where we started, we talked about fluidity as the defining characteristic of mutable perspectives. Why is that ability to shift viewpoints so fundamental to this whole concept?
Well, because as we've been discussing, fluidity is really the foundation. It's that essential capacity to change how you see things and avoid getting stuck in a single interpretation. Without that underlying fluidity, a perspective simply cannot be mutable. It would be fixed, rigid, unchanging.
So it's the key ingredient that unlocks all the other aspects we've been talking about, the expanding and contracting of focus, the challenging of assumptions, the embracing of new ways of seeing.
Precisely. It's what allows for adaptability, for evolution in your thinking and your creative process, is what makes it possible to constantly grow and learn and discover new possibilities.
So for our listeners who are intrigued by this concept, what's the key takeaway you want them to walk away with?
The takeaway is that mutable perspectives, rooted in this ability to think fluidly and shift our viewpoint, are an incredibly powerful tool for anyone, not just artists. And tools like AI Charm Lab, as Sonia and Christopher envisioned it, they provide a concrete way to cultivate this ability, to foster a dynamic dialogue with our own creative history, and to open ourselves up to unexpected inspiration.
So it's about empowering ourselves to see and approach our creative lives with greater flexibility and openness. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. Think about an area in your own life or work where you might be feeling a little stuck right now. How could consciously trying to shift your perspective, to view it from different angles, potentially lead to some new breakthroughs or aha moments? And could the concept behind AI Charm Lab, this idea of having a dynamic archive of your past work, or thinking that you can actively play with, be something you could adapt and apply in your own field, in your own way?
It's a great question to consider. We often have so much more wisdom and creative potential within us than we realize. It's often just a matter of finding new ways to access it.
Definitely food for thought. We encourage you to explore this idea of mutable perspectives further and see how it might help you unlock new possibilities in your own life. And thank you for joining us on this deep dive.